Unfortunately, she belongs to me, but if you can find anybody who remotely looks like her, try and nab them. That's all I'll say.
You're too sweet. You're too sweet. Hey, Authentic Nation. Welcome to our new season of Authentic Conversations with Jamie and Sarah Garande.
My name is Jamie, and I am really excited to have you joining us on this new series. We've got so many exciting things to share with you.
And I'm Sarah Garande, his queen. I'm going to name it. I'm going to call it myself. Hey, my king.
Good afternoon, my queen.
How are you doing?
I'm really good. I'm really good.
Listen, we've been married 32 years now. 32 years this year. You and I have been a Mr. and a Mrs. And I just wanted us to have a conversation and talk about 32 years. What does 32 years mean to you? The highs, the lows, the good, the bad, all of it.
Well, for starters, I mean, when you say 32 years, I think to myself, when did it happen? You know, it just feels like yesterday when I was trying to grab your attention and, you know, and try and flag you down and, you know, and it literally feels like yesterday. So 32 years have come and gone so fast. But as you say, so many highs, more highs than lows.
Absolutely.
So many amazing experiences. We've traveled the length and breadth of this world together. We've got 4 amazing children, you know, a great family, a great life. We get to serve the purposes of God together. And I wouldn't, genuinely, Sarah, I wouldn't do this with anybody else.
I wouldn't let you. I wouldn't let you do it with anyone else.
I'm sure.
Listen, I always say this. Being your wife is the greatest decision I ever made. When you were chasing me down, I didn't have a clue. I was just a, you know, wild little teenager who didn't know what was good for her.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you were persistent, because that persistence has literally just made me one of the happiest women alive, you know. And I'm glad that we get to stand this far back and from this vantage point and look back and realize that, man, I'm glad he chased, I'm glad he chose, and I'm glad I said yes.
Well, listen, if you remember, I was a very, I've always been a fairly intense person.
It's an understatement, guys.
Yeah. So even as a 14-year-old, I looked at you and I knew, you know, I don't know, it's funny. I just had a sense that I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with you, even at that young age. And of course, a couple of years later, I told you definitively this is what I wanted to do. And we've been on this journey together, Sarah. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, you've been so generous in terms of saying that you're glad I chose you, but you've made it easy for me. This hasn't been a difficult relationship. It hasn't been a difficult relationship at all. And I think, you know, when I talk to people and I explain, because invariably they ask the question, so, you know, what is it? You know, what are the secrets of this? And I say to her, she's an amazing woman, honestly. Even today, I was talking to somebody, you know, he was just, one of our employees was just saying, I should say hello to you. And he was just thanking you for some of the things that you have done in his life and saying, you've got an amazing woman. I look at your union and I say to myself, this is like a film. It's like a movie. But I said to him, you know, for me, and this is what I say all the time, what a joy to be married to somebody who knows how to make my life peaceful and yet so exciting at the same time. So I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I'd highly recommend. Unfortunately, she belongs to me, but if you can find anybody who remotely looks like her, try and nab them. That's all I'll say.
You're too sweet. You're too sweet. So what makes a marriage last 32 years? When we look at the statistics and we look at everyone else we started off with, some started ahead of us, some we started at the same time. And yet when we look at the landscape of our lives, we see that not many of our friends, acquaintances, people we knew, people we looked up to, people we took example for marriage from, so many people have gone apart and relationships have died. And when we look at the way of the world today, it seems like marriage is an institution that is on the wane, that is dying, that is obsolete, and that's what people say. But I think we choose to believe that this is a God-ordained and God-authored institution. And so I boldly say there is hope for marriage.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a God ordained institution. I think you were asking the question. So, what are some of the keys? And for me, one of the keys, the key elements of why we've made this work is because we're friends first and foremost. We really are. We have a lot of fun together. You know, we spend a lot of time together. I never get to the stage where I feel like, oh gosh, I just want to get far away from her. Like any couple, you have your tiffs, and but then even then, we've learned how to keep short accounts. I genuinely enjoy spending time with you, and when we're separated, I always give the example of how even when I'm going on a journey, I have to sometimes say to myself, hey, you've only been apart 10 minutes. Don't call her right now. Call her in 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
We do it together all the time,
exactly.
don't we? Yeah.
But it's a blessing to be friends with somebody. Because I think if marriage feels like an institution, and I never like to use that word in relation to marriage, if you use the word institution, it feels very regimented and rigid. I just enjoy being married to you. I enjoy having fun with my friend, and that's so important.
Absolutely. I think you're right when you say it's about the friendship. And the friendship is what has enabled us to go the distance. And you mentioned something else. You spoke about keeping short accounts. Guys, honestly, that's been a real blessing in our marriage where we set what we call relationship boundaries. And one of them is that the friendship and keeping short accounts. So when we inevitably, as we do sometimes fall out, we've made a boundary that first of all, we've got to release and forgive quickly. We never sleep apart, so no going into another room and sleeping there because you're upset. And we talk about it and release quickly and deal with that now, so that in 3 weeks time or a month, if we have another disagreement, we're not talking about something that happened 6 weeks ago. We deal with it in real time so that we don't have a buildup of resentment. Another relationship boundary that you and I have set up over the 32 years of our marriage has been no name calling. When you and I got together, I told you, and I was very open and vulnerable from the get go.
Yeah.
And I said to you, I'm very sensitive to words. And so that's been another relationship rule and boundary that we've placed, which I really think has helped in these 32 years, where when we have a disagreement or a falling out, or we're not seeing eye to eye, or our perspectives differ, we make sure we don't take it into the gutter with slurs and words flinging around.
And I understood the importance of that early on, because I recognized the impact that negative words would have on you. And so we made a commitment, like you said, early doors, to say, no negative words, no name calling, not calling you names, calling your family names, not being disparaging in any way, but just really trying to bring the best out of you, because I was mindful that people say words don't hurt. They really do. And the problem with words is they stay in your psyche, they stay in your mind, and then you replay them over and over again. And so, that was a real game changer for us. Setting our stall out early, to say this is not an option. But and just going back to what you said as well about keeping short accounts, we've always maintained we would never use the D word.
Yes.
We would never threaten each other and say, I'll divorce you, I'll leave you. Don't you know, X, Y, Z. We never allowed that to be an option. So when you know that you're in something and this is your play and this is your person, then you're committed to making it work. I think one of the biggest challenges is people have too many choices. Absolutely. And they have too many options.
Absolutely.
And so even going back to what you were saying about words, the reason why I wouldn't use those words is because I didn't want to sow a harvest or sow a seed that I didn't want to harvest. Do you see what I mean? So be married to you, but be married to somebody who's bitter and twisted and angry because you haven't been careful in terms of the words that you use. I wanted to use words that would bring the best out of you. I wanted to affirm you, I wanted you to feel good about yourself, not bad. And so the words were really important.
Likewise. That D word is so important, especially for the young people who are newly married or you're engaged or dating with the aim of getting married. The D word, the divorce word, is a word that mustn't be tolerated in your home, because the longer we tolerate it, the more we tolerate something, before you know it, you don't even notice that it's in the room. And before you notice, you don't even realize that you're dangling it as a threat to your spouse. And before you know it, you're actually headed down that way. So it's great that we chose not to use that word. In 32 years of marriage, we've rarely, not that we've never, because we have a few times in our younger years, but once we made that another one of our relationship boundaries, we never ever, no matter how dire, how painful things, we don't use the D word, the divorce word, because we understand the power of words. We understand how using that as a threat, like you said, Jamie, becomes a seed that you're sowing, and one day you reap a harvest that you never intended. The number of people we talk to regretting divorce and saying, I wish I hadn't gone down this path. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, it's a horrible path.
Yeah.
And when people are honest and they're telling you how it has impacted them, I forget who said it years ago, but they said, divorce is the closest thing to death that you'll ever experience in this life. It is damaging. It really is. And so, it's not something we take lightly. And by the way, when you talk about threats, sometimes when people are in a relationship are threatening each other, they're doing it because they're trying to get a mastery or hold over the person, or sometimes maybe they want to be heard, or whatever their motivation is. But the problem with threats is the more you throw them, after a while, the person you're threatening will just decide, something, do your best. And so what you were threatening before is not good enough, so you threaten more and more, and it's never going to be for the benefit of your relationship. And so we need to be very mindful. We are under no illusions, like we always say, about the kind of challenges that you can sometimes have in a relationship. But you know what? The commitment must be to each other. The commitment must be to what you're building together. And recognizing that even you're individuals, but you're building something together. And so when you recognize that, then you're more interested in the value and the quality of what you're building than some of the personal hurts. The hurts will come, but you can deal with them. You can deal with them.
Absolutely. Another thing we've dealt with in the 32 years has been financial lack. Because it hasn't always been rosy and easy and a merry walk down the garden path. But I think another thing that has helped to sustain the 32 years and sustain the seasons of lack, the seasons of brokenness and just financial insufficiency is right from the time that we were kids, we made a pact and an agreement that what's his is mine, what's mine is his. We share everything alike. And I really think that transparency has really helped during the seasons where there wasn't enough, because there have been seasons where there just hasn't been enough for Jamie, myself, our 4 children, rents or mortgages and everything that goes on into raising children. But that agreement for us to share everything alike.
That was key. I mean, when we got together, Sarah, we had nothing. We always joke about the fact that I had a bicycle and I used to carry Sarah everywhere on my handlebars. We literally had nothing. And in many ways, I'm grateful for that, because I didn't bring anything to the relationship, neither did you. So we had to build together.
We had nothing to bring to the table.
Yeah, we had nothing.
Nothing to bring to the table, nothing to bring to the relationship, no portfolios, no savings, no nothing.
No
just
assets.
A lot of love and hormones and chemistry.
And a commitment to making it work. We were like, we will make this work. So we were very excited. I think that unbridled excitement really, I think about it all the time, about our early years. We were just excited to be together. And so we were not consumed, like I said, with assets and this and that. And sometimes that is, that mindset that says, this belongs to me. We've never had to do that. A lot of the times, if I'm honest, your bank accounts have got a lot more money than mine. And I'm okay with that, because I just think to myself, we have all things in common. It's been a blessing to think that way.
Absolutely. I think, just to circle around this topic again, we were having a conversation with some of the young people in our lives, siblings and everything. if I had to do it again, I would date the way we dated back in our day. Because I feel like now it's all so complicated.
It's
So,
complicated.
young women are saying, what do you bring to the table? Young men are saying, what do you bring to the table? And it's so complex. And no one is born self-made. No one is born accomplished.
No.
I'm not making excuses for hard work
No.
or saying people shouldn't seek to be accomplished, but so many times I'm seeing the potentials of amazing relationships being lost because a girl is expecting a guy who will put a 60,000 pound diamond ring on her face, on her ring, excuse me, and a guy is expecting a girl who it's got this, and it just doesn't work.
So that it feels very transactional, and I think that, to your point, I think what that does, you lose sight of something that can be great. A lot of our relationships, when we started, they're in seed form. They're not the finished article. Right now, we're not the finished article. We're still building, we're still growing, we're still evolving. And I think when the mindset is you have to be ready-made, he probably belongs to somebody else, or she belongs to somebody else. The strategy has got to be to identify potential, to identify love, to identify somebody who's genuine, not to be taken away by the trappings, but to look at the person, see them, and see what they can become. And by the way, commit to building them into what it is that you want to see. And so for me, that was always the thing, Sarah. I looked at you and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to make you great. I'm going to help to be part of the journey of getting you to where I know you can go. I see your potential, I see your talent, I see your ability, and I'm prepared to invest in that until you get to where you're trying to go.
We committed to growing together, and 100%. Hey, it's been a good run. Hey,
it's been good.
So as we go towards the end of this particular episode, I think what I want to close off with, and then you can choose yours. One of my favorite things that has helped this marriage to go the distance and we continue is our prayer life, a commitment to walking together and serving God and the purposes of God together. I think that is the glue, that is the foundational building block to everything that we do. Anyone who knows us knows that is what underpins everything that we do and everything about who we are, and raising our children in the knowledge of the Lord and the fear of the Lord. That has made this so beautiful, because you see, that also has been a source of some of the protections because we've understood the covenant that is marriage. You didn't like the word institution. To be honest, a marriage is a covenant. A marriage is a covenant. And I have enjoyed and continue to enjoy yours and my dedication to seeking God, serving God, praying, fasting. All of those disciplines are really what have protected our marriage in the seasons of lack, in the seasons of attack. Inevitably, attack comes in the season of wolves in sheep's clothing, in dresses or in trousers. It's because we've got a relationship with God, and that's what's helped that our marriage to come to where we are.
Listen, so I couldn't agree more. You know, for me, having God as the center of our union has been the best treasure, the best shelter. Whenever I don't know what to do, I can run into him. I don't have to have all of the answers. And I think that's a great place to be. I'm able to go to God and say, this is what I feel like your daughter is saying, but I don't understand. This is where she is at. This is how I'm feeling. God, help me. And invariably, when you do that, he will give you the wisdom that you need. So, this thing of feeling like you're an island is never a good look. This thing of you being the final authority is never a good look. God has always been the final authority in our relationship. And so it's great that we are both saved, we're both Christians, so we're able to go into the Word and see what it says concerning any particular issue, and that becomes the final word on that issue, as opposed to God says this, but I think this. No, we have humbled ourselves, we've renewed our minds to say this is what God says, so that works for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been good.
So what are your parting shots?
Parting shots are, I know we live in a dispensation, a generation where a lot of people are very disillusioned about marriage, and they're saying, you know what, I really don't want to have anything to do with this because 50% of marriages end in divorce, or whatever the statistics are. Refuse to be a statistic. Understand that this thing called marriage, God ordained it. He really did. And he gave it to us for our benefit. I was talking to a young man the other day, and saying to him, the scripture says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So for me, every day I'm expecting favor. And I've seen tremendous favor from my wife. Somebody you can build with, somebody who is cerebral. She's bright, she's intelligent. She's able to bring her perspective to whatever it is that we're building. I've enjoyed doing that. So don't be disillusioned. You might have had broken relationships in the past. They don't have to define your future.
Man, I can't even add to that. I can't add to that. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode. Please like, share, comment, follow. You definitely have to follow.
Absolutely.
And let us know how this episode has impacted you. Your feedback matters. Also, would love to know some of the other topics and themes you would like for us to cover. We're excited about this new season. We're excited about all God has in store for us and for you. God bless you, and we'll see you real soon.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Take care.